You've got a business to run, big and heavy products to ship, and customers who need them now. When you've got the right driver and the right equipment, you can bet on a spectacular result. Bennett understands complex logistics and puts the best team, the most time, and the latest technology into every customer relationship. So you can sit back, relax, and enjoy the race. Let us handle the rest.
Together, we can move anything.
Kind of controls things, and he rockets by Sima.
There's Boris said.
One of the ways you overtake here at Sebring is really good in the braking zone, like this one right here.
Both go around.
There's the green. We are back and at it.
Watch this. Oh, look out, Miller, look out.
Rev up and get ready for race day with Mission Foods. The world's best racers and tastiest products come together to make every race delicious. Fully loaded tacos, fast wraps, piled high nachos. Whatever you crave, Mission will help you be race ready with easy to make recipes that will take your race day to the finish line. Keep your racing delicious and enjoy all the mouth-watering action. Brought to you by Mission Foods. Too fast, too tasty.
Welcome to Trans Am, presented by Pirelli, and coverage of the Labor Day sprints here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. You know Ben Sissel. I'm the Canadian content this weekend. Todd Lewis, it's great to be here with you, Ben.
So awesome to be here and to have an expert. I have never had the pleasure of being here. I've heard all about it. Ron Fellows has been in our paddock and hanging out with us the last couple of years, Trans Am legend, and he keeps trying to get us to come here, and I am absolutely in love with this place.
Well, it's a great circuit, 10 turns, 2.5 miles, and drivers, they will be tested in a number of different ways this weekend. Be brave, be afraid.
Yeah, it seems like the track was designed to throw the car and driver off balance, but it's very unforgiving. Lots of downhills into walls. It's almost, a lot of the drivers were kind of equating a lot of the corners to a street race. It's that close.
How about the long Mario Andretti straightaway as well? Huge speeds by the drivers, and then it's a great opportunity to pass going into corner number 8.
Yeah, we've never seen a track like this in the probably 10 years of Trans Am, from first gear all the way to top gear, hitting the top speed and then hard onto the brakes for that right-hander.
And it'll be interesting with all 4 classes running this weekend together too.
Yeah, we've got 4 classes, the TA, Cube 3 Architecture TA2, we've got TA2 Pro-Am and Super GT. And then not only that, but the second place in the TA and TA2 are catching up in points with only 3 races left in the 2024 season.
Navigating traffic, it's 100 laps of action or 160 kilometers if you want to speak Canadian. We'll have Ben on the starting grid when we come back.
How good is this? Look at this view from Losowski.
It brings all my fans, it brings the audience into the car with me.
Speed turn, 140 mile an hour entry speeds.
The quickest and most efficient way for me to get information to my drivers is from using the VBOX HD2 system.
I've been waiting for. Living the moment till I die. And I'm gonna chase it. And I'm gonna chase it. I know we can't be wrong, no matter how I try.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, the Trans Am Series presented by Pirelli is so excited
to be here at the Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. It's been 10 long years. I'm walking around talking to the fans. There are some great fans here. Unbelievable. This is going to be so much fun. Lots of drama here that we got to talk about. In 1, 2, and 3 is 1, 2, and 3 in points in TA. 1, 2, and 3 are 1, 2, and 3 in points in the Q3 Architecture TA2 Series. This is going to be so cool. Let me introduce our color guard here. If we can turn around, the Durham Regional Police Auxiliary Services Honor Guard. We'll come over here for you, Dennis and Marvin. Thank you guys so much for coming out. We've got Carmen Gazzo here holding the Canadian flag and Connor Vera with the American flag. So, my friend Marvin Gray, Road Race Ministries, take the mics and take us away for the invocation.
Remove your hats if you can. Veterans, salute. Lord, we thank you for the opportunity to be here today in the awesome beauty of your creation here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. We thank you for the amazing, amazing fans that we're able to show our race skills here. And now we ask you bless and protect each and every one who is a part of the race today, from the drivers, the crew, the officials, the workers, the track workers, everyone who's a part of it. And again, for our awesome fans, thank you for being here. And now, Lord, we pray for all those who are in need of healing. We pray for those who have lost and mourned. Comfort them. And Lord, we thank you for our troops and safety forces, both here in Canada and the States, that they protect us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have perfect weather here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. I've heard all about this lady here. They've been raving about her. Julie Middleton here to deliver the Canadian and U.S. National Anthem. Julie, take it away.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see there rise the true North, strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God, keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Oh my goodness, Julia, absolutely beautiful. I have to correct myself. Julia Middleton, sorry about that, but I want to get it right because you're going to be a superstar here in just a couple years. Thank you so much. Todd Lewis, there is some talent down here in Canada. I'm sending it back up to you in the booth.
Oh, there is a lot of talent on that grid, and all the drivers now, as we have just about completed the pre-race ceremonies, are getting ready to get in their cars, put on their helmets, clip on the Hans device, strap in their safety belts, and get set for 41 laps of action here around Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Had a great opportunity over the last day to chat with so many of the drivers and participants. Excited for the Trans Am Series presented by Pirelli to be back here again at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. As we've heard, it has been 10 years since the series came north of the border to race at this beautiful track. And coincidentally, it was Ron Fellows who won the Canadian One here 10 years ago in Trans Am as well. So he'll join us a little bit later on. But now drivers and teams focus on the task at hand. It is get in these cars, focus, and get ready for racing here on this challenging circuit at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. They've had lots of track time going back as far as Thursday with 3 separate test sessions. They had practice and qualifying sessions yesterday, so lots of time to practice and get warmed up and get ready for an exciting race today. As mentioned, it'll be 41 laps, and looking forward to the excitement here on the streets in Canada and Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. A couple of Canadians have joined the field this weekend to participate as well, because of course you need a little Canadian content, but 26 cars have come north of the border to get set to do battle and race around the track here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Looking forward to getting action underway. Drivers are getting strapped in, and we are just about ready to go.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to have a big warm welcome to our MAV TV viewers. We are here, the Trans Am Series presented by Pirelli at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. So excited to be here. We haven't been here in 10 years. We're getting late into the season. This is going to be a fantastic race. First in points in TA is first pole position, Paul Menard, Master Force Tools, Menard's car. He is our Trans Am pole, but I said first in points. Second in points, Chris Dyson. Paul Menard has never raced here before. Chris Dyson has won races here in IMSA. So Chris Dyson has had many, many laps here. Then we've got third in points, Tommy Dreesy in TA. And ladies and gentlemen, you won't believe this. In the Cube 3 Architecture TA2 Series, starting first is our points leader. First in points, Rafa Matos right here, our Trans Am Pole Award winner. Rafa, what do you got to say to the fans? I'm sure you're super excited to get out there.
Well, super excited to be back in Mosport. I haven't been here in 20 years. I raced here back in 2004. Really happy to be back. Hopefully we can put a good show for the fans, starting on first place in TA2. It's going to be a little bit of mix-up feelings, especially at the start of the race with the TA cars, but hopefully we'll keep it clean and bring the Concord American flag pole to the finish line and hopefully in first place.
All right. Well, Rafa, I know you got to strap in there, but listen to this, ladies and gentlemen. You won't believe this. We couldn't write this. Starting second in points right behind Rafa is Thomas Merrill coming out here. So we've got Thomas Merrill with HP Tuners. Then starting in third is third in points, Ben Mayer, who's currently leading our Young Guns Challenge for $20,000. So Ben, nice job. You and Thomas both on carbureted cars. This has got to feel pretty good for you.
Yeah, it feels really good. You know, it's going to help the points if I can finish up front, and I'm going to try and stay up front just from the beginning, make as many positions as I can, which there's only 2 people in front of me to make up positions, so hopefully I don't fall back. But thanks to everyone for helping me get out here, all my sponsors and my parents. And
nice. All right, well, that's Ben Mayer getting in with our Young Guns. Don't count out Tyler Gonzalez. A little drama here. Tyler Gonzalez was leading the Cube 3 Architecture TA2 Series in points early on, but actually ran out of funding. He's back here now with E3 Lithium, so look for him to be a little bit of a spoiler. And then, Dennis, if you don't mind, we've got some Canadians back here. We've also had the Pro-Am and SGT, but I got to give a big shout-out to Aaron Pettipaw back there in the Dairy Queen car from Canada. We've also got Roberto Zapato out there from Canada, so we've got a lot of Canadians out there. Blaze Chitta and his team, BC Racing, is going to be out there, so watch out for that, because this track, A lot of these drivers have never been here before, so the home field advantage could be a big deal here. So I'm going to come back up here to the front of the grid. We're seeing here that we've got 5 minutes on the grid. This should be really good. Let's get some shots of Paul Menard as he's buckling in, getting going here. So we've got Paul Menard buckling in right there, and then I'm going to come over here to my friend, Ron Fellows. Ron Fellows over here. So, Ron, we got to talk because you've been talking to me for about 8 years about coming up here to Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, and man, has it delivered. Some of the best fans we've seen all year, and they watch the Trans Am Series, but I also got to brag on you. Last time Trans Am was here, 2014, and this man right here won the race in his 100th Trans Am race, a Trans Am champion. But speaking of champions, Patrick Woods-Toth clinched the championship today, a driver that you've been mentoring for many years. So, man, it is just a Canadian day here at your home track.
Thank you. Yeah, no, you can't do it without a great staff, our longtime president and GM, Miles Brent, all the volunteers we have, MMS that's working the corners. And again, we have a very loyal fan base. Thank you all for coming out once again. And yeah, I'm excited to watch this Trans Am race. It was fun to watch qualifying up in turn 2. I was just talking to Paul Menard. I've talked to Chris Dyson a little bit. These are the TA cars are spectacular. A little different from when I ran them, but that's okay.
Now, Ron, I know you've been talking to the drivers, and the cool thing is you've been in our paddock working with Patrick Woods-Toth. You've been in our paddock the last 2.5 years at the fan walks, talking to a lot of the drivers, but such a difficult track. I mean, you have to have a good setup in the car, but it seems like the winners are going to be the bravest drivers out there. What kind of advice are you giving to these drivers?
Well, yes, be patient, but yes, it does require a little bravery. Yeah, no, this is a downforce track as well. I mean, you've got to have a really nice balance with the car. Basically, from turn 8 to turn 5, it's get a really nice balance. Got to have some downforce, and yes, be brave.
Nice. Well, I was just told we're going to actually extend a little bit here. So if you'll come with me, because I'm going to hear this from an expert, Ron Fellows here, a Trans Am champion. Explain to everybody what they're about to see. We're about 2.5 minutes from the start command. So explain one of these TA cars, 850, 900 horsepower, no driver aid. These are just really cool, incredible monsters, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. When you look at the cars compared to the TA era that I was in, sort of 89 to 96, where there was factory teams, they're closer to a TA2. But you look at the TA cars, yes, big power, 5-speed sequential box, big brakes, tons of aero. I mean, just look at the front of Paul's car, look at the front of Chris's car. As much downforce as they can pack. When you've got over 850 horsepower, yeah, downforce is still going to be king.
Yeah. And then watching them going through like turns 3 and 4, these things are so sucked to the ground, they might be bringing up some of the pavement. Where are you going to watch this race from?
Well, I think I'm going to watch a little bit from the TV booth, but I did watch qualifying in turn 2. Just a great spot to watch. And then both Paul and Chris in particular in the TA class, back and forth, and both were able to get their quick laps late, which was pretty impressive. Given that typically it's lap 3 or 4 on a new set of tires. But yeah, no, these cars are awesome to watch. I wish there was a bunch more of the TA cars, but the TA2, always a great show. They're, in terms of lap time, they're kind of in that era of the factory team era that I was in the 90s. So again, they're great cars. I did get a chance to drive one. And yeah, no, I'd like to do more, but.
And I believe last time you won here was on like a flat tire, right? One more lap, you would have been in trouble.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, when we got to Victory Lane, it was coming apart. So yeah, we were one more lap, and that was all, that was going to be Amy Ruman's race. So nice. Yeah.
Well, here's what we'll do. We'll kind of reset here. Ron, if we'll have you stand here, we'll have the camera pointed back at this unbelievable field. You're going to join us here in the commentary booth. Let's come over here, and Dennis, we'll get you like right here if that's okay. But you're going to join us. You'll face this way, Ron. I'm sorry, but you're going to join us in the commentary booth. I'm so excited to hear what you're thinking of this. I know you've been following the series, this modern Trans Am. It is my honor, the nicest man in motorsports, Ron Fellows, Trans Am champion. Take it away. Deliver the most famous words in motorsports.
All right, Canadian Tire Motorsport fans, drivers, start your engines.
And with the words from Ron Fellows, the cars come to life on the grid here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. We'll give them a moment to get set, and we'll get a taste of some of these beautiful onboard looks that we will have as well, that promise to give us spectacular views throughout the field as we mix it up. As mentioned, we will see great views from onboard, and all of the classes will run together here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. It is Paul Menard who starts on the pole position. Interesting, it was Chris Dyson who was at the top of the timesheets through session after session after session, but then it was Paul Menard who scored the first pole position for Trans Am here. We will expect to have a first-time winner because nobody's seen these streets before as the cars begin to roll off of pit lane. Rafa Matos, as you saw, also will have the pole for the TA2 class, the championship leader, followed by Thomas Merrill in the championship, who will be on the front of the TA2 class as well. And then it's Ben Mayer, Tyler Gonzalez, who also we expect big things from here today. He was very fast in his earlier outings this season in that car, but had some funding issues, but he is back in late in the season, hopes to run more, and then hopes to run the full season next year here in the Trans Am Series as well, as we continue to look at the starting grid here on the Get Set for CTMP. We welcome back our viewers from MAV TV. We apologize for some of the technical difficulties and issues that we had. We continue to look at the starting grid. There is Kaylee Bryson, who leads in the SGT championship as well. She will roll off in the SGT class, and as mentioned, it's going to be very interesting to see how these cars stack up and how the front runners navigate through the traffic. Those TA cars, super fast, super big horsepower. They will have to navigate traffic. The TA cars as well, also having to navigate traffic. As we look back and see Aaron Pettipas, one of the Canadians that is involved in the field as well. And Leroy McAuliffe in the 10 car in the TA2 Pro-Am will also join Josh Hurley this weekend as a teammate. Beautiful view on board from Chris Dyson looking out front of that car, and there is Tommy Dreesy right behind him in the other TA car that is starting up front. These cars will get mixed up with the traffic after a couple of laps, but beautiful views as they head down some of the high-speed parts of this circuit, down the long Mario Andretti straightaway. That will build up to huge speeds at the end of it towards corner number 8, pushing close to 180, 190 miles an hour at the top end of the speed. It could be an opportunity for passing going into corner number 8. It has been used, but you better hope that the driver that you're attempting to pass knows that you are trying to dive up the inside. Otherwise, it could be very challenging. On board with Adrian Lostowski, and again, another look at that long Mario Andretti straightaway, which isn't perfectly straight. There are a couple of subtle turns to the right in it, but it is a straightaway, and it is the longest straightaway here on the 2.5-mile circuit at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, and that is where the biggest speeds will be felt. Another great opportunity for passing will be through corner number 1 as you come out of 10, build up along the speed along the front straightaway and head towards corner number 1, the right-hander. That will be another one of the great opportunities. Looking back from corner 1 right now as the drivers continue to weave side by side just a little bit to get some heat in those Pirelli tires. A few winners, names that you will recognize, of course, Tony Abe and Doug Peterson, and Ron Fellows, the winner in 2014. Back on board as we continue to pace the field and drivers maneuver back and forth, getting set to accept the green flag at what should happen at the end of this second of our 2 pace laps. You see the field beginning to form up just a little bit on the back part of the circuit. Another great look from the onboard of Tommy Dreesy out that front window. with the telemetry information as well. Some very fast lap times during qualifying. A 1:13.2 was the pole for Paul Menard in the TA class. Rafa Matos with a 1:18.3. As we see the drivers beginning to get towards the end of their second pace lap and getting ready to go green for a scheduled 41 laps of action, or a 75-minute race. We'll hope for 41 minutes of action-packed drama here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Drivers have talked about this being a technical track. They've talked about it being a momentum track, a finesse track at times. A little bit of all is probably necessary for success here at CTMP. Lights have gone out on the pace cars. They continue to form up side by side. Now moving down the long straightaway, getting set for a green flag at the start-finish line. Paul Menard, who is the leader of the championship in the TA class, will lead the field to green. All classes on track. All classes will have to navigate traffic. And everyone formed up 2 by 2 and looking good for a start. We'll wait for the pace car to pull off into pit lane, and there it goes. Rest of the field is nicely formed up coming through corner 9, and then the right-hander through 10. And the drivers get the green flag for the first time in a decade. Trans Am is racing here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. The TA2 cars get out ahead just a little bit. Just a slight tap of the brakes from Chris Dyson, who settles in behind Paul Menard on this lap number 1. Beautiful view of that battle up front from on board with Tommy Dreese right now. Everybody seems to have gotten through those first couple of corners without any issues. Now heading through towards the back part of the course. Great onboard view of that battle up front. Paul Menard leading the way, and Chris Dyson right in his tire tracks in the early going. Get settled in, get comfortable as they get through towards corner number 5, which is the double right-hander, 5A and B, and then head out towards that long Mario Andretti straightaway. And Paul Menard with Chris Dyson, who's kind of bobbing and weaving just a little bit to drivers left and drivers right, just to remind him that he is there and would like to perhaps take the lead at some point, but they have pulled out just a little bit of a gap on Tommy Dreese, who's not too far away, close enough to stay in touch and keep those two drivers in sight as we complete lap number 1. And Rafa Matos maintains the lead in TA2 with Thomas Merrill and Ben Mayer behind. Tyler Gonzalez in fourth is there as well. Great look at that left-hander in corner number 2. It is a downhill left-hand turn, and it is off camber. That is one of the brave parts of the circuit that the drivers have talked about, that you need to have that determination to go through as quickly as you possibly can. Keep that foot pressed down to the floorboards. Trust that the car will hold. Trust that the aerodynamics will work, and you'll be able to carry maximum speed through there. Chris Dyson continues to ride in the shadows of Paul Menard. Just behind him now as they pull down that long Mario Andretti straightaway. Great speeds that they're building up towards the end of that. It is a little bit uphill as well, but the speed that they reach is just tremendous to watch. And a great view of it on board now with Chris Dyson. That's the 8, 9, 10 combination coming through 10 now as they make their way back out onto the front straightaway. And things have gone very smoothly so far. Menard and Dyson out in front. Tommy Dreese just a little bit adrift, but still running in close proximity in third spot. Matos, Merrill, Meyer, Gonzalez, and Annunziata are the top 3. Oh, we've got problems. That's the 61 of Roberto Sabata, who has had obvious contact And we will see that is the 78 car with Aaron Pettipas that also was involved in that. Let's have a look back at what happened. And here, one of the high-speed parts of the circuit, as we're watching and waiting, and there it is. Oh, a little touch from the 75 of Boris Said Jr. impacts both the the 78 of Aaron Pettipas and the 61 of Roberto Sabata. Full course caution is out. It'll take a moment or two to retrieve those cars, and you can see the significant front damage there to the 61 of Roberto Sabata in that 6-gear garage car. He is along pit lane, and I'm not sure if they're going to be able to conduct any sort of repairs to get that car going, but disappointment for Aaron Pettipas, who was also involved in that. 78 you saw nose first into the outside tire barrier. We'll see if he can get going again. What a journey just to get here for this race at CTMP. Aaron Pettipas from Halifax, Nova Scotia. It's about a 16-hour trip one way from Halifax, Nova Scotia on the east coast of Canada to make the journey here to Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, about an hour outside of Toronto, and that is some significant damage to the front end of that 61 car. Saw the contact. It was Boris Said Jr. who looked like he got into the back and got the car turned around. And now the crew's going to have a look at it. They're examining. Of course, you want to make sure and see if that radiator's been damaged or punctured. You don't want any fluid leaking out from underneath. But my goodness, that's disappointing. Yeah, the helmet is coming off for Roberto Sabato, and he'll climb out of that Ford Mustang. Finished second at Sebring, finished third at Road Atlanta in the Pro-Am category, also had a second at Mid-Ohio earlier this year. But his day is done early here at CTMP as we remain under full course caution and the field circulates now. Couple of laps completed. Paul Menard remains out in front. He was followed closely by Chris Dyson. There was a bit of a gap back to Tommy Dreese in third. Rafa Matos leading the TA2 category. Thomas Merrill, Ben Mayer, the top three there. Field continues to circulate underneath this full course caution. Mentioned it as Paul Menard out in front. Led from the drop of the green flag. And the cleanup and retrieval of that 78 car of Aaron Pettipas will continue for a couple of moments. And the 61 of Roberto Sabato done for the day. Watching on board now from the 8 car of Tommy Dreese, third place runner in TA, as the cleanup continues out on course. We'll hope that it's a quick one. The 61 was able to make his way continue, but hopefully it is a quick retrieval of that 78 car of Aaron Pettipas, and we can resume green flag action here at CTMP. It's almost good, I think, to give drivers a bit of a break after a couple of quick laps at speed. Conditions have changed a little bit since they were on track yesterday in their last session for qualifying. We also had a significant fluid spill in one of the previous sessions that was out on track. There was a very big cleanup that was necessary to take place. Oh no, more double trouble for another one of the Canadians, Leroy Metcalf from Brampton, Ontario, who was along pit road for a stop. But he was released by the team and everything seems to be okay, and he is back out on course. But a difficult start to this one for the Canadians with Aaron Pettipas involved in that incident with the 61 of Roberto Sabato. A little touch from Boris Said Jr. 2 cars go off course, significant damage to the 61, and then Leroy Metcalf also making that stop under caution. watching the field circulate. That's the 75 of Boris Said Jr. that was involved in that incident, but he came away unscathed and was able to continue with what appears to be zero damage, and managed to pick himself up a little bit of ground up on the circuit as well. Welcome back to our MAV TV viewers. We continue to circulate under a full course caution here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park in Bowmanville, Ontario, just about an hour outside of Toronto. Up on top, it is Paul Menard, who started on pole position and has led from the drop of the green flag, followed closely by Chris Dyson. Tommy Dreese third. It is Rafa Matos, who remains the leader in the TA2 category. So we've got to look for Chris Dyson's onboard as the cleanup continues out on track. The 78 of Aaron Pettipaw, one of those vehicles involved in an off-course excursion up on the flatbed, and they will remove that car, and hopefully we'll be back to green flag racing shortly. Rafa Matos, as I said, still leading in the TA2. Thomas Merrill, his challenger in the championship, running in second, and Ben Mayer, third in the championship, is right behind those two. Driver seeing that cleanup is almost complete, starting to weave back and forth just a little bit to get some heat in those tires. Looks like a little bit of front end damage to the 97 there of Tom Sheehan as well. Looked like there was just a little bump, a little nudge of the body work that may have damaged that right front of that 97 car just a little bit. Watching along pit road, you see the 61 that has retired a little bit earlier, back on board with the 97 with Tom Sheehan. And hopefully this cleanup will be completed momentarily and we can get back to green flag racing. We are pleased to welcome to the commentary booth. He gave the command to fire engines just a couple of minutes ago and then made the big run and has caught his breath. Ron Fellows has joined me here. It's good to see you. Thanks for coming up. I really appreciate it.
Yes, I don't sprint quite as well as I once did. No.
Not quite in the same race shape, but
no.
I was mentioning, I wonder if it's almost a bit of a blessing for drivers to have a bit of a break after a couple of quick laps here on course. Okay, got a feel, got a rhythm. Now we can go back and focus on the rest of the action here, or do you just want to go right
Yeah,
to the
no,
start?
I mean, you do want to go. There's probably a little bit longer break. Get 8 or 10 laps on the tires. After 5 or 6, you got a good read on where you're at. But this is probably a little early, I would say, to get a really good read on where you're at. However, it is what it is. This may not be the last one.
Well, let's cross our fingers and hope that we have lots of green flag action remaining here for the rest of the afternoon.
Indeed.
And we will hopefully see that green flag come out in the next time by on board with Chris Dyson now having a great look at the battle. It was terrific. I don't know how much of you saw with Paul Menard and Chris Dyson in the early going. It was one following the other, and I think we kind of expect that here today.
Yeah, no, looking at, I was up in turn 2 watching qualifying yesterday. And yeah, really impressive speed. But then for both Paul and Chris to be able to go even quicker later in the session, I mean, that's big. And it says a lot about the quality of the Pirelli tire, as well as their ability to get the most out of a tire after a half a dozen laps or so. So it's going to be interesting to see what that does for race pace. Is there going to be some tire degradation, degrade in pace? The TA cars have a lot of downforce. Yeah, this is kind of disappointing to see Boris Jr. on pit lane.
Yes, this is. It looked like he was one that almost initiated that incident that did take place out on track. A little bit of contact. It appeared as though there wasn't any damage, but it's never a good sign when you're jacking up the rear end of the car and putting jack stands under.
No, that's an extended stop. Yeah, that's not good.
Well, that will certainly shake things up a little bit as well as we continue to circulate under a full course caution. We have lost the 78 of Aaron Pettipaw. Unfortunately, he was involved in an off-course excursion. Roberto Sabato is also out and along pit road as well. But the rest of the field is gathered up behind the pace car and making their way down the long Mario Andretti straightaway now, and we'll hopefully get back to green. It looked like the cleanup was just about complete when we had the last onboard look driving by. The car was up on the flatbed. The 78 was just about ready to be hauled away, but this is not going to be good news for the 75, and that's the 60. I need to see there's fluid underneath.
That's Robert Sabato's car, is it not? Yeah. Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah.
Robert's a local. I know he's listed as living in Florida, but he runs 6 gear, and great guy. And yeah, that's disappointing for sure, because I know he's done a fair amount of practicing here, and he was looking forward to it. So that's very disappointing for him.
Looks like we're going to have a bit of an extended cleanup necessary because of some oil out on track in turn number 8. So gives us a minute to talk, and I wanted to get you to speak a little bit about all that you and the rest of the group here at CTMP have done over the last number of years, since the last time that Trans Am was here. Yeah. The changes, the improvements, including this incredible event center that we were in. It's some really spectacular work that's been done.
Yeah, thank you. We've got my wife Linda and I have got a great partner, Carlo Fidani, and Carlos had a great vision. When we spent time talking with Don Panos when we took over ownership in 2011, he was very interested in understanding what the vision for us would be as well. And it's been a lot of hard work, but we've had several winters of it since basically starting in the winter of 2012 and on to do not only the Grand Prix track, but the rest of the property.
It's been a spectacular vision that's starting to come to life here at CTMP.
Thank you.
We'll continue with the...
You've got a business to run, big and heavy products to ship, and customers who need them now. When you've got the right driver and the right equipment, you can bet on a spectacular result. Bennett understands complex logistics and puts the best team, the most time, and the latest technology into every customer relationship. So you can sit back, relax, and enjoy the race. Let us handle the rest.
Together, we can move anything.
Continuing to circulate under full course caution, 7 laps complete of 41 scheduled here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Trans Am returns to CTMP for the first time in a decade. It is Paul Menard who is out in front of the field. Chris Dyson and Tommy Dreese run second and third. Rafa Matos is leading the TA2 field, followed by Thomas Merrill and Ben Mayer. Those are the top 3 in the TA2 championship as well. And good for them for at least trying to see what they can do with that 61 car. I don't know if they'll be able to get it back together, but maybe they can get them out to do a couple of laps.
Yeah, that's a great camera view. That looks very terminal. There's a lot of fluid underneath the front end there.
Yeah, fingers crossed. We'll see if they can manage to get something going here. But I don't know. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, that looks very terminal.
Still circulating under full course caution here as we welcome back our MAV TV viewers. And Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, there's a bit of a cleanup that's necessary because of some turn 8 oil that is on the track. They're going to take another moment just to clean that up and make sure that we have the best possible conditions as we return to green flag racing here. 7 laps complete. Paul Menard leads Chris Dyson and Tommy Dreese in TA. Rafa Matos, Thomas Merrill, and Ben Mayer are the top 3 in the TA2 category. Ron Fellows, former winner here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Do you get a bit nostalgic seeing these Trans Am cars back in here? I'm not going to ask you if you felt like jumping back in one, because I don't know if you're quite ready for that. You haven't raced them in a while, but Does it kind of light the flame a little?
A little, but I'm now officially a senior citizen, so I can do 5 or 6 laps. I'm good.
You want a new sprint race category,
yeah, that's
right?
exactly right. Yeah.
All right.
Or a driver change after 5 or 6. Yeah. No.
Yeah. I don't know if we'll see that.
No.
But we're talking about the great improvements that you've made here at CTMP, and so much has been done in terms of the safety and some resurfacing that has been done here. But this is very much the same track as when this place opened in the 60s.
Yeah, one of the things that Don Panos did when he took over ownership in '98 was get the track surface itself up to FIA Grade 2 standards, and that was a lot of work. It was, you needed to go basically take the racetrack from 28 feet to 40 feet, and one of the concerns that I had, and again, I was just a driver who they consulted with briefly, was please maintain the integrity of the layout with where apexes are. And they, Miles and the team then, and Miles has been here, I'm not going to say how many decades, but he's the same age as me, so you can do the math from there. They were able to do that, and then during the COVID shutdown, we resurfaced, which it needed, and so we've got, the track is 40 feet wide now. And it has been since the '99 season. However, yes, you see the paved runoff areas to the right out of Gary Bose's car. Same in turn 8, same in turn 5, turn 1. And a lot more use of banded tire barriers. That's a pretty common theme these days. So
it's been wonderful to see, and the drivers have spoken glowingly about this track, since some of them have raced here a number of years ago. It's nice of them to be back, and I've heard it described differently. It's a momentum track, it's a downforce track. You talked about it's a bravery track. Maybe it's a combination of all of them.
100% it's a combination of all of it, and it really depends on what you're driving. In high downforce. High downforce car, you got to have a really good balance in the car, and yes, you got to be brave. Back in my Corvette racing days, when we're doing, around the 113 flat range, and this is almost 20 years ago, this is a track that you need to be patient at getting up to speed. And I would tell the engineers, even though I've got lots of laps here, give me 5 or 6 just to kind of work up to the corner speed again. And you see that now, where you've got to be patient when you're at a track like this, because of the corner speeds and the when you make a mistake, it could be expensive.
Yes, that's one way to put it. Lights are out on the pace car. 9 laps complete here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. We are expecting a return to green flag racing action when we come back past the start-finish line one more time. Pace car has pulled off, and that is Paul Menard, who will once again lead the field to the green flag as he begins to get up to speed coming out of corner number 10. There's the green, back racing at CTMP, and Chris Dyson following in close proximity, and looks like we got a pretty good battle shaping up now in the TA2 class.
Certainly do.
That is the 40 car of Tyler Gonzalez, who is looking to improve his position from 4th in the TA2 class. That's brave going around the outside of corner 2.
Yes, it is. And there's a little bit of runoff there. A little liberal use of curbing at the exit, but you can get away with it.
It does work to your advantage, though, because when you get to corner number 3, you're back to the inside of the track. And this is the setting up of a pass and using the track to your advantage, if you will.
100%. And again, the new asphalt lends itself to that, and we're continuing to see these two go side by side. It's just not going to be possible through 5A, and they ended up losing a spot again. They may end up losing 2.
And the 90 of Thomas and Nziata also comes through to pick up a spot there as well. And this is the best time to gain an advantage, isn't it? The field's bunched up after caution.
Yeah, on restarts or everything, you got to prepare the tires. I was actually surprised that there wasn't a lot of weaving going on. I think as the track builds rubber, we had a massive amount of rain last night, so the track is still relatively green. And but if we get a caution later, you're going to need to keep the tires clean. Again, when they cool off, they do get a lot of pickup.
As they come past the start-finish line, the battle continues. Up front, it remains Paul Menard and Dyson, followed by Dreesy. Rafa Matos and Thomas Merrill lead in the TA2, but the shift has taken place with Tyler Gonzalez, who has moved up to third, and Annunziata has also moved as well, and the 20 car of Josh Hurley is now running fifth in the TA2 class. Great onboard look here from the three of Adrian Lostowski, and you can see just how brave you have to be going through some of those corners.
Oh yeah, and again, the TA2 cars are 4-speed. This is conventional. You actually have a clutch pedal that you occasionally need to use, and you got to match the RPM with the good old-fashioned blip in the throttle, as opposed to what the TA guys have with a sequential box.
More difficulty along pit road for Thomas Sheehan, who has mentioned that it looked like there was a little bit of contact, kind of did some damage and body damage to the right front there, and looks like they have used brute force to perhaps straighten that out just a little bit.
And some 200-mile-an-hour tape coming.
Yep, to make sure that you secure the hood with those hood pins and before returning. And you can see that Sheehan in the car wants to get going.
He does not want to go a lap down, but I'm afraid that's likely going to happen.
We'll see how quickly they can return that car out to the battle as Paul Menard comes by the start-finish line again to flick off another lap and post the quickest lap. And will we see speeds, do you think, increase a little bit now? Tires have cooled off just a little bit, maybe a quicker lap as some fuel burns off?
Yeah, for sure. And then you'll see a little bit more degradation. Again, it's not super hot. And again, without a lot of rubber down, it should be a little bit tougher on the tires, because when you don't have a lot of rubber down, you're going to slide around more. With a green track, so we'll see. I think for sure these Chris and Paul, the kind of lap times they're trained, they are going to have to manage the tires to try not to slide too much, and to make sure you got plenty of tire towards the end.
13 of 41 scheduled here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. That is Chris Dyson, who is chasing Paul Menard for the overall lead. And TA class, TA2 remains. Matos, Merrill, and Gonzalez now has moved up into third. I mentioned the Pro-Am as well as Barry Bowes in the 27, Jared Odrick in the 00 second. And in the 6 cars, Jim Gallagher, who is running third in the Pro-Am class. I know we only have you for a brief time because you have some other duties, and they involve your son Sam, who's racing this weekend.
A little, yeah.
In the NASCAR Canada Series. He's getting some pretty good coaching from you as a spotter. He had a great 4th place finish here at the spring race in NASCAR Canada, so I know you're hoping for at least that much success again.
A little bit of a problematic first practice, but that's kind of how it goes with it. The session got shortened, but yeah, no, really enjoying it. And we got a new car this year from McCall. We managed to ruin our brand new engine at GP3R, so we've got the backup motor in, but we'll do the best we can. And yeah, no, it's been a lot of fun.
Is it as much fun for him as it is for you, or how are the conversations father to son sometimes?
Oh, I think they're fine. This is one of the times where he'll listen for sure. But yeah, no, it's been enjoyable, and it's the whole family affair. And Linda's involved, and son Patrick has done some spotting as well, and yeah, so it's fun. We're just doing the road course races, but having a good time doing it.
Just can't step away from the racing completely, and I know
Never.
No. Well, it's just you do so much here at this facility as well. Yeah. It's a 12-month-a-year endeavor, even though the racing season isn't quite that long, but you stretch it out pretty well.
Yeah, we've certainly personally we've got lots going on. Our youth kart racing program we've been helping young Patrick Woods-Toth transition from karts to cars, and he won the Formula 4 championship last year and wrapped up the Formula Regional championship this year, plus the Corvette school in Nevada. So we're lots going on.
Just getting a look at the quick onboard from Tom Sheehan, and it does not look like he went a lap down, which looking to see, and I think he is still on the lead lap in the Pro-Am. So that was some pretty quick work by that team.
For sure. Yeah, because it's not a long lap here in terms of lap time. Yeah, the TA cars in particular, just the way they're built, and TA2 cars again, that saving of rear tires is critical, because typically, yes, as the fuel load lightens, you want to get faster, but it also hurts your ability to get power down in the rear as you burn off fuel. So it's important for both categories that they, you go easy on your right foot application. They don't have traction control.
Managing your equipment is part of the
Super
skills.
key. Yep.
Of watching your way around here. Chris Dyson has just turned the quickest lap of the race to cut into that lead for Paul Menard ever so slightly. It's just about a half a second now as the 31 car continues to run out front. Yes, it is the 31 this weekend. Normally runs the 3, but he has ceded that to Adrian Lustowski in the TA2 category because we are running both categories out on track, which again is a bit of an adjustment for these drivers having to navigate the traffic.
Oh, sure. Yeah, more so for the TA drivers. The TA2 drivers are in basically their own battle. If there were a lot more cars, you could, as you see in a lot of the U.S. races, you'd see a split grid, but this works out just fine, and it's great for the race fans too.
Seeing that green number 90 car of Thomas Annunziata, who's feeling a little bit of pressure now from the 20 of Josh Hurley, getting a little bit closer as they go down that long and ready straightaway. How much do you feel the draft there?
It's probably just a little. They're continuing. You actually need a little bit longer straightaway in order to sort of get to that to the peak power where you're unable to push any further through the air. I mean, if you're tucked up behind somebody, you need to be probably 2 car lengths back at most to really get a proper tow, because they're continuing to accelerate. It's still so. But hey, it's better than being the one pushing the hole and through the air. For sure, Chris Dyson in P2 and TA, he's getting a little help for sure.
You can see a bit of a gap has started to form now between the 31 of Paul Menard and Chris Dyson, between those two front runners, and the 8 car of Tommy Dreese has drifted back just a little bit now. As we're on board with Tommy Dreese coming through, wonder if that's a little bit of traffic that you're having to navigate perhaps, and that's the reason that the gap has increased just a little bit. But it's been a nice battle between Menard and Dyson up at the front of the field as we're working lap 18 here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Beautiful 10-turn circuit, 2.5 miles, very much as it was, as Ron detailed a bit earlier. Just track's a little bit wider, but the racing line very much the same. Yeah. And a lot of the drivers that had been here previously said, it's still fun. It's still one of my favorite tracks. I drive it the same way I used to.
Yeah, and if they've not been here, I'd be surprised if it's not become their favorite track. I know for Boris Jr., it's now his favorite track. So, and as Boris Sr., he loved it as well. So, yeah, it's a driver's track. These are long, fast corners, and if you're a racer, that's what you want.
That's the SGT leader right now. That's Kaylee Bryson, who is also the leader in the championship as well. Getting a look at her as in her Corvette as she makes her way around. And it's again, it's been universal across the board for all of these drivers, enjoying it, enjoying the experience, coming to Canada for many of them as well to experience that part of it.
Yeah, and we have a very loyal fan base as well, and there's plenty that have come here for decades and have seen the Trans Am cars in the past, so I'm sure there's a great deal of fans curious to see what is the Trans Am Series now as opposed to what it was 10, 15, 20 years ago.
See the 02 SGT leader of Kaylee Bryson. She is following that 75 car of Boris Said Jr., who has fallen down the field after that pit stop for a lengthy pit stop that certainly put him back in the field, unfortunately.
Yeah, Junior is going to want a caution to get things bunched back up for sure. Sitting back at 17th overall.
That's the 27 of Barry Bowes that we're on board with now, and having a look at the as they circulate. And just as we spoke about Boris said Jr., who is back out on track. It looks like, unfortunately, he's had to return to pit lane. It's rare that you jack up the rear end and solve the problem.
Yeah, it didn't look like he was completely up to speed either. So that's going to be disappointing for him for sure. Now on board with Chris Dyson. That'll be top of fourth gear. Turn 2, got a little traffic to navigate.
Also,
you can see how hard he's working to try to get power down, even as fast as they're going through turn 2.
Where you catch the traffic is also going to be significant.
Yeah, typically it's the car out front that tends to be the one that does not get any gain, but in this case, both those for Chris happened in the wrong place. He had to check up for turn 3 and again at 5A, and you can see Paul's basically doubled his lead.
It's amazing.
In terms of car length, yeah, just like that.
Just in a couple of corners that if you don't catch the traffic at the right part of the course, it sets you back a little bit further. And Paul Menard, who has led right from the drop of the green flag, even through the caution period, it remains out in front with about a 5 or 6/10 of a second lead over Chris Dyson. In 16 car, Tommy Dreesy is third in the TA class. It remains Rafa Matos out front of TA2 right now, and Barry Bose leads the Pro-Am class of the TA2. Back on board with Chris Dyson, who is now going to have to try to make up that distance. And again, there's going to be traffic now that looks like Paul Menard is going to have to navigate, and that'll close them back up.
That right there will hurt his momentum, and see if Chris can take advantage of that. And again, it'll be dependent on where he catches them into turn 4 and 5A.
And exactly the same thing as we saw with Chris, finding the traffic. When you get there, do you get there at the right time? Can you take better advantage of it?
And he did not. And again, you see now it went from a half a second to a second, so he's lost a second. Yeah, that's too bad. Yeah. It is what it is. It's a real fine line in how aggressive you want to be in traffic, because you don't want to throw it away. We're just at halfway. However, that's just in a few corners. That's a loss of 1 second.
I was just going to mention that we're just around the halfway point, and you want to navigate your way through. And again, you can see the 6 car of Jim Gallagher, who is also impacting the traffic there.
Yeah, as you said earlier, the TA2 drivers are not used to spending probably as much time looking behind them, and for faster, dramatically faster cars, which are what the TA cars are compared to TA2. But the rules are, it is on the onus is on the passing car to make a clean pass.
And race control keeps an eye on those clean passes to make sure that everyone does it.
Most of the time, yes.
Just past halfway here, Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, and the Trans Am cars have come back for the first time in a decade. Paul Menard is out in front for TA. Rafa Matos leads for TA2. As we welcome back our MAV TV viewers, we will say thank you to Ron Fellows for joining us. It's been a pleasure to have you for a couple of minutes.
Thank you. Yeah, no, this is fun. You got a great view here, too.
We'll let you go back to work, and we'll bring Ben Sissel in, who has made the long run from pit lane up to our commentary box, and just watching this. And what an afternoon we're having watching these Trans Am cars out of the course.
Thank you.
Well, how cool was it to be following up Ron Fellows, a legend, one of my heroes. Ron, thank you so much. We've been wanting to come up here for years. The Canadian Tire Motorsport Park does not disappoint. And I got to say, Todd, I've been recognized by the people around the track more today than I have at any other track. So these fans, like Ron was saying, they are following the Trans Am Series, and we so appreciate that.
So many of the drivers, in talking with them yesterday, have said that it was great to see the crowds that have come out, and welcome the Trans Am Series back to Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. We continue to ride on board with Chris Dyson as he is looking to chase down Paul Menard in that 31 car. The gap is stretched out a little bit. It's closed up a little bit. Now back under a second as these two TA cars navigate some of the traffic that they're having to work their way through. And that's going to shift back and forth a little bit for the rest of the afternoon, it appears.
Yeah, and to be honest, the TA cars are not used to racing with the Cube 3 Architecture TA2 cars and vice versa. TA2 cars are not used to looking in their mirrors like we're seeing here as Tommy Treacy's trying to get by, which you should be able to do in the Mario Andretti straight around Doug Winston. But the racing is heating up, definitely in the Cube 3 Architecture TA2 Series. We've got Rafa Matos, Thomas Merrill, but Tyler Gonzalez, and watch out for Josh Hurley. Josh Hurley with DC Race Cars. He's a more calculated driver and might wait till the end of the race to make his move, as it were.
He was being pursued by Gonzalez and Thomas Annunziata, and both got around him. There was a good battle for a number of corners, but Hurley ceded the position to Gonzalez and Annunziata. And again, we'll watch to see. Again, just 24 laps in, there is still a long way to go in this race.
Oh, yeah, definitely a long way to go. We just went through the Bon Jovi laps halfway there, and these drivers are living on a prayer. But this is kind of the closing, and you were asking Ron about the speeds as we look at the 0-0 coming through. That should be Jared Odrick. Yeah, it's Jared Odrick in the black underwear. His door is down, but he is really fast from the NFL joining us, and he's had a few wins in the Pro-Am and a few podiums. So a very good driver, very fast black underwear Ford Mustang.
He has been doing an awful lot of racing. He's been racing in some of the sports car events up in Canada as well for the last couple of months. So trying to get as much experience and as much track time as he can. How does that impact these drivers with the door panel hanging open?
The door is distracting, but Thomas Merrill has won a few races with us with the same thing. There is a little latch that Cope Race Cars puts on there, so I guess the latch came loose. But Jared Odrick is a big boy, very athletic and a large former NFL player. So he definitely needs a car with that door, but I'm sure it's distracting. But as far as aero goes, I think it's pretty nominal. As we look here at the 31, that Master Force, Paul Menard, he looks like the class of the field this time. But like I was saying in the grid walk, that Chris Dyson, he does have a ton of experience here.
Certainly does, and trying to navigate his way through now is Paul Menard seeing some other traffic ahead of him, but that was the onboard from Chris Dyson. But Paul Menard has driven what appears to be a very smooth, smart race from the drop of the green flag. Hasn't tried to push too hard. He's just maintained a comfortable pace to keep a nice gap between himself and Chris Dyson, especially after Chris's win a week ago. Cut into that championship lead just a little bit. It's like, no. I know that you think you're getting closer, but I want to take control again.
Yeah, we were just on the Mario Andretti straight, and Mario used to say to win as slowly as you can, and that's kind of what Paul Menard does. He gets out there and just tries to maintain a gap to not tear up his equipment. Just a very smart, calculated driver, great team with 3GT. But then Chris Dyson probably has more experience in mixed class racing than almost anybody in the field. He knows how to set that pick and use the lap traffic. So this is going to be a very interesting last under 20 laps to go.
Yeah, we're watching the front runners up here again. That is Paul Menard and Chris Dyson, who are leading in the TA class, followed by Tommy Dreese. Rafa Matos continues to lead in the TA2 class, followed by Thomas Merrill, and Tyler Gonzalez has moved to third in the TA class. So Rafa Matos as well, also managing and just running a very smart race, thinking big picture and championship.
Yeah, Rafa Matos, two-time champion, and he knows how to win a championship, as does Thomas Merrill. But watch out for Thomas Annunziata. He has had some bad luck. One of our most talented drivers there with Eat Clean, bro. But he is looking for that win. The last win he had was last year at Circuit of the Americas. But, man, Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, like you said, Todd, does not disappoint. Some fantastic racing.
Great racing throughout the field. Menard leads in the TA class. It is Rafa Matos in TA. In the Pro-Am class, it is Barry Bowes in that 27, who has also run a very smooth, smart race and continues to lead in the Pro-Am in TA2 as well. Great battles, 26 laps in here at CTMP. Continuing to enjoy these great onboard shots, especially down that long Mario Andretti Speedway and just straightaway, and just watching the speed build in these Trans Am cars. There was a lot of muscle underneath the hood of these cars.
I had the honor of going around this track with Scott Goodyear, who calls this his home track, in his car, no more than 40 miles an hour, and I just could not believe how complicated it is. It seems like every turn is designed to throw the car and driver off balance. A fantastic place to watch racing, but a very difficult track that takes a ton of bravery. I think this is one of the most interesting circuits we run in our season.
That's the 31 navigating a little bit of traffic with Josh Hurley in that 20 car that Paul Menard is trying to find his way around. And now Chris Dyson's going to have to do the same thing. And this is where the gap will grow and then shrink just a little bit. Is Chris Dyson going to be able to use this traffic? Is he going to catch it at the right moment?
So that hurt Paul. Yeah, so look at that gap. Just because Thomas Annunziata in front of Paul, just like you said, now lap traffic is coming into it. Now can Chris Dyson use it?
That's right. So there we are heading out onto the front straightaway. So you've got Paul Menard and Chris Dyson who are going to both try to make that pass around the 90 car. And they both, Dyson does not get through in corner number 1. So the gap will grow again.
Yeah, it's crazy too because looking at that, I think Chris probably could have made that move, but it's not a high probability pass, and he's here to win a championship, and he's not going to risk anything. And Thomas Annunziata is here to win a race. Two totally different approaches to driving in Trans Am.
Absolutely. And again, navigating the traffic and managing the traffic where you get it is vitally important as we remain on board with Chris Dyson trying to run down the 31 of Paul Menard, who has led since the drop of the green flag. He remains out in front of the field and the TA winner by about a half a second right now here at CTMP. Welcome back to Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Paul Menard has led all 27 laps so far from the drop of the green flag here at CTMP and is looking for a victory, but now trying to navigate his way up the inside of Tyler Gonzalez. Always hold your breath a little bit, Ben, when you go side by side.
Gosh. Yeah, and Tyler Gonzalez is in third place in the Cube 3 Architecture TA2 Series, trying to catch Thomas. And like I said earlier, he was first 3 races, he was our points leader and then ran out of funding. But I tell you what, look at Tyler Gonzalez if you're out there, because he is going to be a huge talent, and he will be racing on Sundays in the big series as well.
Oh, he has made some significant moves from the start of this race, picked up a couple of positions, used the restart after that extended caution period to jump around the 20 car of Josh Hurley and took Thomas Annunziata with him, and now runs third in the TA2 category.
I was watching Tyler Gonzalez at corner 4, and he comes through there almost flying. His tires are barely touching the ground, and he says he's pretty comfortable with it. But the one I want to talk about is Julian DaCosta, powered by Hickson. He was here just a few months ago in the MX-5, started last, finished second. He knows how to do pack racing here. A very up-and-coming driver, Julian DaCosta with Team SLR M1.
And you'll get great experience in that MX-5 car. You'll use the track to your advantage. Again, momentum and bravery. If you can navigate your way through an MX-5 Cup, you'll be successful in the Trans Am Series.
So there it is. It took 29 laps. We did have some laps under yellow to catch up to Rafa Matos, but that is the difference. You know, it's about a 4 seconds a lap faster in a TA and a TA2 car. So both Paul Menard and Chris Dyson able to get by Rafa. Rafa in that Concord American flagpole company that was brought to you by the Dyson family and Chris Dyson riding on board. What are you seeing? The driver does look comfortable in the bottom right. He looks like he knows the track, and the car looks set up correctly, would you say?
Very much so. It looks like he is just trying to make laps, and Paul Menard has been doing that since the drop of the green flags. You mentioned now past the TA2 category leader, and now we're watching for the rest of the field to come through. Chris Dyson, is he going to be able to come through? Matos is not going to fight those two. They're racing in a different class, so he knows that it's best to just let him go.
And try to let him go as quickly as you can. As we see Leroy McAuliffe there letting Chris Dyson go, another Canadian with BC Race Cars. Great to have Leroy McAuliffe here with us. But yeah, just like you said, they're going to let those TA cars go because it's this race right here in the Cube 3 Architecture TA2 between Rafa Matos and Thomas Merrill. And right now, if it ends like this, it's a good points day for Rafa Matos, who's our current point leader.
Which has been his recipe for success all season long. He has just one finish outside of the top 5 this year. He has been super consistent, and that has led him to the top of the standings. And we spoke about it a bit yesterday. He understands that, yes, I'm here to win, but the win is always the race win is always important, but the big picture of the championship is also in focus.
It is secondary when you're running for a championship. And the last year he won a championship, he was on the lead lap of every lap of the race, and that's how you do it in TA2. You can't have a mechanical. It's that competitive. Everybody in the motorsports industry knows that this is where the up-and-coming talent is. As we see there, McAuliffe coming over on Thomas Merrill. That's going to really cost Thomas Merrill a bunch of time, and Thomas has really got to catch up there too. Rafa Mata. So we'll see what happens here. And then watch out for Tyler Gonzalez, a very fast driver. Could be the spoiler here with Nitro Motorsports. This is going to be really interesting with 10 laps to go.
That is a good battle in the top 3 of TA2 with Rafa Matos leading, Thomas Merrill, and Tyler Gonzalez, who is back in that 40 car and has picked up a couple of spots since our caution period, the extended caution period on that restart, gained a couple of spots and moved his way forward into 3rd in the TA2 class. Continues to be Barry Bowes, who's leading in the Pro-Am of TA2 as well, followed by Jared Audrick.
Jared Audrick doing really well. I'm so unfortunate for my friend Aaron Pettipa from Halifax, Nova Scotia in that Dairy Queen car. I know he wanted to have a great showing for his Canadian friends and family. And but we're seeing some great races here. Like you said, 4 mixed classes. And then we've got Kaylee Bryson and David Hampton and Milton Grant. Now, Milton Grant in that Porsche SGT, he's got a missing tooth in his rear differential, so he's just hoping to finish the race.
Wow, that's certainly the goal, I suspect, then, is just let's get to the end and do what we can with 10 laps to go here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. We had the 1 extended caution period, but it has been green ever since. We have seen great racing action throughout all of the classes here at CTMP. It is Paul Menard who remains out in front of the field. Rafa Matos leads the TA2 category, and Barry Bowes in the Pro-Am of the TA2. As you mentioned, Kaylee Bryson in the 02 car leading in the SGT category as well, and leading in the championship.
Yeah, she's doing very, very well. And it was funny, she didn't go to one of the Trans Am practice sessions to go up on 5 and watch. And I was up there with her filming, and it was really neat to see her as the student, looking what all the drivers are doing, and that's what it takes. But, man, this is heating up here in TA. Todd, this is exciting.
It is back down to less than half a second gap between the leader in TA, Paul Menard, and the man chasing him, Chris Dyson. He is the one with the experience here, and maybe later in the race, in the closing laps, that experience is going to come to the forefront. But he has not let him get too far away. It's stretched out to about a 1.5 second lead at times as the two navigated traffic. But now they are nose to tail and look to have some pretty clear racetrack ahead of them in the closing stages.
Yeah, there's Kaylee Bryson there in that yellow Corvette SGT. Ahead of her is Jim Gallagher, and then Eric Caton from the Skillman Auto Group. And then here's our leader. So this is where they're going to come up on lap traffic, maybe at turn 5, which is not the optimal place to hit lap traffic.
Again, we're focused on this lead battle in the TA category. Nose to tail as they're going through 5B and headed towards the long Mario Andretti straightaway. And how quickly will Paul Menard be able to clear those lap cars ahead of him, and will Chris Dyson be able to follow through in an efficient manner?
We'll see here.
Just look at that horsepower.
Not quite. They would have liked to get by all 3 of them. Jim Gallagher up here ahead. He's going to see the cars. I know that Cope Racing Cars, they've got the spotters all over the place. So he's just going to try to get out of the way here in a second. But Dyson right behind Paul Menard. A little bit of a bump there.
Looked like they touched coming out of corner number 10. It was Paul Menard who got trapped up a little bit by the lap car. Maintains the lead headed into corner number 1. But Chris Dyson is right on his tail in the closing stages at CTMP.
Well, Todd, it has been such an honor to be here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Fantastic fans. I am really hoping that we come back, and I think Ron Fellows is having fun. I hope the fans are having fun. I'm going to have to go because I got to make it to our Jim Weed Winner's Circle. Speaking of Jim Weed, that is the new pear pineapple flavor of Chris Dyson there in second. I can't wait to see what happens, but thank you so much for joining us. It's been a true honor to work with such a pro as yourself.
It's a pleasure, my friend. I really enjoyed it, and looking forward to some great closing laps. About a half a dozen to go here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. It was Paul Menard who led them to green a little while ago, and he has had Chris Dyson in tow ever since as they continue to navigate their way through the traffic. It is Chris Dyson now applying the pressure in the late stages, looking to pop out and make it back-to-back victories. A nice move up the inside by Chris Dyson. New leader on TA and the overall lead. A beautiful move to the inside of Paul Menard as they come through corner 9 and towards 10. He will cross the start-finish line on lap 35 with the lead in the closing stages here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. It looks like that experience from Chris Dyson, who has run here in the past. He has won in ALMS. Maybe that experience is paying off. Saved his equipment just enough, but Chris Dyson won a week ago at Watkins Glen and now is looking to make it back-to-back victories. Very patient race for Chris Dyson. Very smart move at the end. Got close to Paul Menard, used the lap traffic, and was able to spring to the inside and complete that pass as they came through the end of the Mario Andretti straightaway. And now it is Chris Dyson who is out in front of the field, leading Paul Menard and Tommy Dreese in the TA category. Rafa Matos remains out in front of the TA2 field. We'll have a quick look at that pass for the lead. Paul Menard sees him coming up the inside, but there is nothing he can do, and it is Chris Dyson who is the new leader at CTMP. This one, another look from the onboard of Chris Dyson in that 16. You can see Paul Menard sees him in the rear view mirror, but then knows there is nothing that he can do to prevent Chris Dyson from going up the inside of corner number 8. A beautiful, clean pass, and we have the 16 out in front now, leading the 31. But Paul Menard is not going to let him rest. He is going to push him all the way to the start-finish line in that checkered flag, and if the opportunity presents itself again, Paul Menard will want to be out front. It has been a really fun battle to watch between those two all afternoon long here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Chris Dyson was quickest through the Thursday practice sessions. He was quick in the Friday practice, but Paul Menard got just a little bit more speed and scored the pole position for the race here at CTMP. But Chris Dyson kept it in check, kept him in sight. The lead stretched out to a second and a half or so at different times. And now late stages, with only a few laps remaining, has been able to move out in front and take the lead. But Chris Dyson is going to have to navigate some traffic as well as we get to the closing stages of this one and try to hold off Paul Menard. That looks like the 00 of Jared Audrick that he moves around the inside of corner number 10. Glances up at his mirror to see whether or not Paul Menard was able to make that same move and how close he is. It's about a half a second lead now as they are working lap 37 here of 41 scheduled. Dyson is going to have to navigate traffic for the rest of the afternoon. It is strung out pretty thoroughly along here at CTMP. That's the 8 of Tommy Dreese now that is maneuvering through traffic as well. And pretty heavy at times for Tommy Dreese to work his way through and maintain his position in third. Welcome back to our Math TV viewers for the final laps here of the Trans Am Series at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. New leader Chris Dyson has taken over from Paul Menard, who led the field to green. Chris Dyson with a beautiful pass at the end of the long Mario Andretti straightaway through corner number 8. Clean pass up the inside. It is now about a half-second lead as we're working lap 37. On board with Tommy Dreese, who is running third in the TA category. It is still Rafa Matos leading Thomas Merrill and Tyler Gonzalez in the TA2 category. In the Pro-Am, it is Barry Bowes with Jared Audrick running second, and you saw the door panel lowered on the 00 car of Jared Audrick. Jim Gallagher is third in the Pro-Am category in that 6 car. That is your TA2 leader, Rafa Matos, who has maintained the lead in the TA2 categories from the start of this race. Running very smart, understands the mission ahead of him, always wants to win the race. But the big goal is a season championship, of course. He was kind of smiling yesterday and really enjoying being back here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. It had been about 20 years. We were talking about his run in the Star Mazda Series at the time when he was pursuing an open-wheel career. Enjoyed it thoroughly, scored the pole. I believe finished second in that race and had some very fond memories of his time previously here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. That's the car chasing him, and Thomas Merrill, who was a winner at Watkins Glen a week ago, scoring the first pole of his season, to cut into that lead of Rafa Matos. It was substantial coming into this weekend at 112 points. Not insurmountable, but significant. But the key for Thomas Merrill having any hope of climbing closer in that championship fight, he's going to have to finish ahead of Rafa Matos. But it's a pretty comfortable gap right now between the leader, Rafa Matos, in the 60 category. Barry Bowes continues to lead the 00 Jared Audrick and the 6 of Jim Gallagher in the Pro-Am. Oh, and that is Chris Dyson who gets it wrong going through corner number 5. And now Paul Menard is going to be the huge beneficiary and take over that lead. It was Dyson who had run such a smart race for most of it, staying in close contact with Paul Menard, and when the opportunity presented itself, took advantage of it. But now Chris Dyson gets it wrong through corner 5, loops it around, and Paul Menard says, "Thank you very much." Chris Dyson is back up to speed, but let's get a look at the replay of what happened to Chris Dyson as he was coming into corner number 5. 5A looks okay, but then sees the traffic ahead of him, but then gets it wrong going through corner B, and Paul Menard retakes the lead, gets back in front. Have a look at it again. And the back end just stepped out from that 16 car of Chris Dyson. And Paul Menard in the 31 goes through, working lap 40. He takes over the lead. And it is a big gap of 4 seconds back to second place and Chris Dyson, who's now also going to have to try to navigate some of the traffic if he has any hope of getting to the closing stages and putting any sort of challenge at Paul Menard. But that is an enormous break for Paul Menard. 4 wins this year already. A comfortable lead in the championship coming into this race. Led most of it. Gave the lead up briefly to Chris Dyson. But then got it back in a gift late in the race as the white flag waves to Paul Menard on his final lap around the 10-turn, 2.5-mile circuit here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Cannot believe his good fortune that Chris Dyson had the problem in corner 5, and he retakes the lead with a better than 4-second gap on the final lap. Just calmly navigating his way through the traffic now. Paul Menard will continue to circulate and look for a mistake-free lap 41 and accept the checkered flag. Going through corner 5A and B now, where Dyson had the issue and got turned around. And Paul Menard jumped back out in front. And Paul Menard is now heading down the Mario Andretti straight for the final time. Getting ready for the combination of 8 and 9, and you see Chris Dyson, who is not anywhere close to being able to make a challenge on this final lap. It's normally the number 3, but for this weekend it is the 31. But it is going to be victory for the 5th time this year as Paul Menard accepts the checkered flag and is your winner at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Followed to the checkers by Chris Dyson, and on board now with 3rd place runner in TA, that is Tommy Dreese, who was a little further back and navigating his way through the traffic. There you see Dreese now to driver's left, making his way through some of the other cars, headed towards the checkered flag at the end. Paul Menard gave it all he could. Gave up the lead to Chris Dyson. Dyson mounted whatever charge he could come up with in the closing lap. In fact, just turned the fastest lap of the race on the last one, but could not get close. And it is Paul Menard who gets the victory There is Tommy Dreese taking the checkered flag. 3rd position in the TA class. But what a dramatic turn of events at the end of this one. Chris Dyson stalked his prey for most of this race. In the late stages, with less than 10 laps to go, he got around Paul Menard. Paul Menard was there to take advantage of Chris Dyson when he got crossways coming through corner number 5A and B and ended up pointed in the wrong direction off track. Paul Menard jumped in front, took over the lead, and closed it out for a few laps to score the victory here at CTMP. And it will be a win celebrated by Paul Menard here in Canada. Cars making their way down to pit lane now as Chris Dyson has to be disappointed. It looked like he had run a picture-perfect race, staying close with the leader, Paul Menard. But then, whether it was an error, whether it was a bit of an issue with braking, didn't look like the traffic ahead of him was going to be a problem. Looked like there was plenty of room. But he got crossed up in corner number 5. And it can be a challenge. It can be tricky. Going through 5A and B, the double right-hander. But what good fortune for Paul Menard to be there to take advantage and jump ahead and score the victory as the cars head now to Victory Circle. It is Rafa Matos who does come away victorious in the TA2, followed by Thomas Merrill, so that lead will be extended once again for Rafa Matos. So we're getting a look at the number 31 of Paul Menard, who is in victory lane. And very happy to have that win. Chris Dyson is making his way back to the paddock area. Disappointed, of course. As mentioned, it looked like he had run a perfect race. Retake the lead in the late stages, but now is unbuckling. And the 31 of Paul Menard is his way to Victory Circle. Ben will join him momentarily for the interview. We'll get the rest of our winners in there as well. In this return to Canadian Tire Motorsport Park for the Trans Am Series, it has been an afternoon full of excitement. Welcome back to our MAV TV viewers. That is Paul Menard, who is climbing out of the car in the Jim Weed Winners Circle, victorious here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, scoring the victory after scoring the pole position and leading so much of this race. The 16 of Chris Dyson kept him in close contact. Then when the opportunity presented itself, took over with 5 laps remaining, with about 10 laps remaining. And then in the late stages, Chris Dyson got crossways coming through corner 5, and Paul Menard retook the lead. Rafa Matos is your TA2 winner. And he extends his championship lead over Thomas Merrill as well. A nice run from the 40 car of Tyler Gonzalez, who is back this week. Ran a few races at the start of the season, had some good success, but then had to step away from the program for a little while. But has come back and has a 3rd place showing in the TA2 category. Nice run for Tyler Gonzalez. Then it was Barry Bowes who was leading the TA2 Pro-Am category, followed by the 00 of Jared Audrick. Let's go down to Ben, who is in Victory Circle with our winner here at CTMP.
My goodness, ladies and gentlemen, Canadian Tire Motorsport Park does not disappoint. What a race. Unbelievable, fans. How about that, fans? Let's get a little bit loud in here. This is a party. And talking about a party, what a race. Hey, come on in here. Paul Menard, what a victory. I mean, you were kind of the class of the field, and then Dyson was able to get you, and you guys just really put on a show today.
Yeah, I mean, we can't get away from each other the last couple of weeks. Yeah, I mean, we raced really hard last week and this week. It was just, our cars are so equal. It's whoever's out front, this track's so fast that clean air makes a difference. I noticed that when I got behind him, I wasn't quite as good in down the hill, turn 2, turn 8. Clean air made a difference. He got by me. I just didn't get a launch off 5B on the back straight that one lap, and he just got to run, and I didn't want to go and try to pressure him, and he made a mistake, and we capitalized.
Nice. Well, unbelievable there. That he's running the championship. In the championship. In the Jim Weed winner circle. Here, that's got to be heartbreaking. Pineapple, I thought you were going to have 2 in a row, but you guys put on a great race.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say after a great race like that it's heartbreaking. I mean, I'm a little bit shocked. I mean, we'd had decent grip going through 5A and B the whole day, and then that time through down or something. Because other than that, we were all day. The car was flying. We did that or cut him after from a sand car. And Paul was that's two races in a row where we've been having great racing, and that's what the series needs.
Nice. Well, Chris, unbelievable. That had to be fun though, circling around.
We apologize for the issues with our cameras in Victory Circle. We'll reconnect with Ben in Victory Circle. But there is the final running order in the classification. It is Paul Menard who scores the victory, his 5th of the season. And Chris Dyson and Tommy Dreese round out the top 3 in TA. Rafa Matos scores the victory as well in the TA2 class, followed by Thomas Merrill. Gonzalez as well picks up a couple of positions. A nice couple of moves on the restart after that extended caution period. But a nice run for Tyler Gonzalez as he comes back into Trans Am, followed by Thomas Annunziata, Josh Hurley, Jake Drew, and Ben Mayer as well with a top 10 run in that 80 car for Nitro Motorsports. Continuing to look at the race classification, Julian DaCosta, Adrian Lastowski in the 3. Barry Bowes leads the Pro-Am category, followed by Jared Audrick. Is Jim Gallagher, who is 3rd in Pro-Am. Haley Deegan with a top 15 run. Didn't get a chance to talk much about her, but she is participating this weekend. A driver that has raced so much in off-road and ARCA and some trucks and Xfinity racing as well. But Haley Deegan comes up with a 15th place run. A good run for her here at CTMP in a very challenging circuit as well. Eric Clayton, Jim Gallagher, Kaylee Bryson, Doug Winston, and Leroy McAuliffe in the top 20. And there's Tom Shane, who had problems, of course, and made that stop along pit lane. So he finishes in 21st. And then, unfortunately, difficulties for Boris Said Jr., who had to make an extended couple of stops on pit road. Roberto Sabato, and then Aaron Petipa, who went out in that early in the event. Let's go back down to Victory Circle, and Ben is with our TA2 winner.
Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, we're back. Let's get loud for these drivers. Maybe the best fans we see all year, but man, we had a great race here in the TA2, especially running for the championships. Thomas Merrill 2nd, but I saw you coming over and talking to Rafa, so that was a good race, wasn't it, gentlemen?
Yeah, it was a great battle. It felt like qualifying pace the whole time, all the way to the checkered flag. The track was a little lower grip, so we were sliding around an awful lot more, but traffic was the name of the game today. Rafa did a great job in traffic, and I just caught him in all the wrong spots, and I felt like I could pull him back if I had a chance, but it wasn't our day today. Full credit to these guys, doing a great job.
And this is the camaraderie in the Trans Am Series. These guys are running for 1-2 in the championship, just like they did a few years ago. They're friends, and that's what we love about this.
We'll get back to Ben and victory podium ceremonies in just a moment. Just to apologize again for the camera issues and difficulty that we're having there, and we'll correct that momentarily. But it has been a It has been a great afternoon for the Trans Am Series here at CTMP as we want to look back on some of the highlights for the Trans Am Series presented by Pirelli. Taking the green flag, it was Paul Menard who had scored the pole position, and we got off to a really good start. It was a good battle between Paul Menard and Chris Dyson. Some great onboard footage. There you see the contact with the 75 of Boris Said Jr. with the 61 that had some significant front end damage and was forced to retire. Good battles throughout the field. You see Tyler Gonzalez, who on the subsequent restart after that caution period was able to pick up spots. Chris Dyson, a great move around Paul Menard to take over the lead, but then gets it wrong at corner number 5. Paul Menard scoots by to score the checkered flag and the victory here at CTMP, his 5th of the year. We'll get set for podium ceremonies momentarily down at with Ben, who will have all of our winners. And the cool move of the race goes to Rafa Matos with the coolest move of the race presented by Coolbox. Here's the Rafa Matos coolest move of the race from Coolbox. A nice move around to duck up the inside of the slower traffic, and then use that horsepower down the long Mario Andretti straightaway to clear his way through and maintain the TA2 lead and score the victory here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, and he will extend his championship lead after having that lead cut a little bit a week ago. Rafa Matos with a good, strong run here at CTMP. Happy to be back after a good race in Star Mazda 20 years ago. He has an even better one today with the Coolbox coolest move of the race. Great shot of this fantastic crowd here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park this weekend. They were expecting a big crowd and were pleased to have so many campers set up shop for the weekend with the Trans Am cars returning to CTMP for the first time in a decade, and they did not disappoint with good battles throughout the field with Paul Menard, who scores the victory in the TA class. Rafa Matos, as we just mentioned, scores the win in TA2. Barry Bowes, the Pro-Am winner for TA2. And then Kaylee Bryson, once again, continues to lead in SGT as well in her championship as well, and is having a very good season. A lot of other noteworthy moves as well with Tyler Gonzalez, as we mentioned, in that 40 car, comes back into Trans Am this week. Ran a few races at the start of the year. He finished second at Sebring. He finished third at Road Atlanta, but then was forced to step away from the program because of funding issues. But very happy to be back and scores himself a third-place finish here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park as well. Barry Bowes is the Pro-Am winner. Jared Audrick has another good finish as well. He's had podiums already this season. At NOLA, he finished on the podium at Watkins Glen just a week ago. He has also run some sports car races as well in the Canadian Sports Car Championship to gain a little bit of experience. Not here at CTMP, but he has ran a couple of other events as well and certainly made a name for himself in that series and picked up some podium finishes as well. So Jared Audrick is transitioning from NFL to acting to race car driver and making his mark in the Trans Am Series. If you missed any of the action and want to see it again, the replay will come up on MAV TV this Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern on MAV TV. The highlights of Trans Am presented by Pirelli here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, with all classes running on track for the first time this season. They did it here at CTMP, and the show did not disappoint. The TA winner is Paul Menard, led for most of the race, gave it up briefly. Chris Dyson spun, Paul Menard took it over, and he scores the victory. You can relive it again on Thursday on MAV TV. Thank you for joining us. Continuing to look at the...
Is the green. Kind of propulsion station. Oh, he rockets by Sima.
There's Forrest said.
One of the ways you overtake here at Sebring is really good in the braking zones, like this one right here.
Both go around.
There's the green. We are back and at it.
Watch this. Oh, look out. Miller, look out.
SpeedTour returns to Virginia International Raceway October 4th through the 6th, featuring the Trans Am Series presented by Pirelli, the Cube 3 Architecture TA2 Series, the Sports Car Vintage Racing Association, International GT, Optima Search for the Ultimate Street Car, PSSA, and Janetta Challenge. Saturday, you can take part in the Haggerty Cars and Camping Car Show with Parade Lab. You do not want to miss the VIR SpeedTour October 4th through the 6th. For tickets, simply go to speedtour.net.
Rev up and get ready for race day with Mission Foods. The world's best racers and tastiest products come together to make every race delicious. Fully loaded tacos, fast wraps, piled high nachos. Whatever you crave, Mission will help you be race ready with easy to make recipes that will take your race day to the finish line. Keep your racing delicious and enjoy all the mouth-watering action. Brought to you by Mission Foods. Too fast, too tasty.